Me now is 16-year-old James Crocker, founder of Grans Got Pride. Young folks just getting to it, doing some wonderful stuff in the community. Thank you for joining us this morning, James.
Thank you, Symphony, for having me on.
Yeah, we are so excited. So first off, let's just talk about the significance of Coming Out Day.
Yeah, so National Coming Out Day was founded in October 11th, 1988 by two LGBTQ rights activists. And they did this to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the March on Washington protest for LGBTQ rights. And so that makes this a really important day. And it's always been recognized by the LGBTQ community as a holiday to celebrate the braveness that it takes to come out. And really, it's a hard truth for members of the community because you have to keep coming out, whether it's to a new employer, to you're going into a new school, and that's why it is just such an important day.
Yes, for sure. Now, you were just 16 years old right now. How old were you when you came out to your parents?
Yeah, it was pretty recent, I would say. I was about 14, going on 15, and it was a tough thing to do, but ultimately, it's one of my proudest moments.
Now, describe some of your feelings leading up to that and, how you felt about your family's reaction to it.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot of anxiety surrounding coming out. And I would say one of the hardest parts of it was just accepting my own sexuality and coming to terms with that. And that's definitely a truth for lots of members of the community. And so it took me a little while, and the first person I came out was my mother, who was Peruvian. She emigrated here in 2001. And then I came out to my father, who's a New Englander, and he has more traditional values. So it took a little while for both of them to accept it, but ultimately they told me that, we love you unconditionally, and this is just another part of yourself. And so I'm really fortunate to have such accepting parents, and they're always at all my events supporting me. My dad's always packing up his Subaru with all the Pride supplies. So yeah, I'm really fortunate, but unfortunately that's just not the truth for so many other members of the community.
Right, right. Now, how did you feel once you came out to your parents?
Yeah, I felt, I would say, whole in a sense, because I'd finally let them in on such a private part of my life. And lots of people ask me, they're like, how can you be so sure about this at such a young age? And I would say, really, it's just something you're born with. And it's something that ultimately you begin to feel as you grow up and go through puberty. And so I felt renewed and just really grateful that they were let in on this big secret I've been keeping.
Yeah. Now, what advice do you have for other parents out there and, how they can be supportive of their children?
Yeah, I would say for other parents, no matter your ideals or your values, you need to be supportive of your children and to ensure that they're safe, ultimately, because unfortunately, yesterday we celebrated World Mental Health Day. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mental health issues that comes with being gay, and that's why it's so important for parents to accept their children, to get them any support if it's needed, and to ensure that they are living their true identity.
Exactly. And earlier I researched some stats from the Trevor Project, and they said for LGBTQ youth who came out to their families, who were comfortable enough and they felt accepted, the suicide rate was 40% lower among that group rather than the kids who did not feel accepted by their families. So yeah, definitely I understand a big weight lifted off of people's shoulders.
For sure, for sure. And I'm not surprised at all by those statistics.
Yeah.
And I definitely am such a big advocate for mental health as well. And projects, even in Connecticut, like seeing the Trevor Project chapter in Connecticut, these are so important because they provide lower cost or even free counseling for these teens who might be at risk. And that's why it's so important to recognize that.
And that support is there even if they're not getting it at home.
Right.
All right, so we do have to head out, but very quickly tell people how they can support you with Grans Got Pride and find out what you're up to.
Yeah, so I started Grans Got Pride last June after a big controversy surrounding a Pride video back in my town of Granby, Connecticut. And we held a great Pride rally June 25th. We planned in just under 2 weeks. Wow. And if you want to support it, you can check us out at granbysgotpride.com. That's Granby, GranBysGotpride.com. You can support us through monetary donation, through following us on social media. And yeah, just looking for updates. We hope to have an even bigger and better Pride event next year.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, James.
Thank you,
Can't wait to
Symphony.
see what the event looks like.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me on. I have a little gift for you before I go.
All
There's a pride
right.
flag.
Here we go. We're going to check in with Tim in the